Hello, Cryptonauts, and welcome back to another episode of Cryptocurrency Chat. This is episode number 492 on March 1st, 2023, Wednesday. I am your host, Jake Jabarelli, along with Blockchain John, and we are doing the midweek news. There's John in the lower left-hand corner. If you can't see him, he's waving at you. Starting out, this all news. We're starting out with something really fancy here. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing it come out of alpha and get into the beta. I'd love to get, I know they say that you can try the beta. I'd love to get access to this. We'll talk about it anyways. So decentralized Twitter spinoff, BlueSky, which we have mentioned before, was several weeks ago, now on App Store in beta. That is only iOS, unfortunately, not Android. I don't know why that is. I would have figured it would have been on Android first. But anyway, so BlueSky is based off of Twitter, which effectively is Twitter. It's just the decentralized app or blockchain version of Twitter. And so yeah, they apparently started this back in 2019 with money from Twitter itself. This is long before Elon Musk took over, and it's long before Jack Dorsey left the board. So it was its own thing. They spun it off, like I said, 4 years ago, completely kicked it out of Twitter altogether, so it's no longer anything Twitter related at all, even though it is effectively built on the concept of Twitter. And it's run by a guy named Jay Graber, I think Jay Graber. And he says, actually in this article, we're really still in the beta, but you can DM me if you want to get an invite. It's like I have to DM him because I definitely want an invite on this, because anything to get away from Twitter, even if Musk manages to turn it around in a year or two, I still am not super thrilled by. We're both, Blockchain and John and I are both big crypto Web3 enthusiasts, so anything to get away from that.
I have been enjoying Nostr. I've been on Nostr. I've been tinkering with it, and it's a sense of freedom and happiness. You know, it's like nothing else out there. You know how people like your comments on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they give you a little like. Well, on Nostr, people zap you. They zap you sats.
Yeah.
You know, lots of sats.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Publish OX, right? Publish OX is the same way. So, although Publish OX never caught on, it's still out there. But I mean, nothing like. I mean, if Nostr and or BlueSky catch on the way we expect them to, hopefully, then yeah, getting a couple of sats for a vote up or however many sats people decide to send you, it's still a pretty cool idea. I mean, this is kind of the way that library.tv works. When you get upvoted, anytime you get watched or upvoted, you actually get a small portion of the network sent to you, the coin, the library coin. So same thing.
But here's what's interesting about library. Speaking of library, so yesterday I was trying to. On my personal account, I was trying to donate my library coins over to C3 Media. But what's interesting about that is that it was locked. It's like I wasn't allowed to move assets, and I don't know if it has something to do with litigation.
No, there's a function. If you if you promote certain tokens, because like you might have, let's say you had like 10,000. I'm just throwing a random number. Let's say you had 10,000 library. And every single time you watch a video or promote a video, you lock those tokens to that video. And that's what makes the video more popular. In fact, it's what people used to use in library in the early days to kind of falsely promote their most latest video. Is they'd take all of their library and stick it and then post it to that one video so everyone would see it. And it's not exactly the most cool ideology, but it was something that people were doing at the time. So I guess what I'm saying is you can get the coins out, you just have to make sure they're not locked. And if they aren't locked, then you can pull them out. So that's what I would say is just check to see if they're locked into anything that's in the system. Anyways, the point about this is that we're using this authenticated transfer protocol, AT protocol, that is a federated social network, so it is independent. BlueSky has promised that they offer interoperability between devices, easily portable accounts, open algorithms, so users have greater control over what they're seeing. Basically the functionality that Twitter is pretty much controlled by Twitter. So we're not looking at we're looking at, I would say it's more like Mastodon in a sense, but
Yeah. So
still trying to keep things more in the control of the users.
yeah, but that's been my and I mentioned this before. The whole federated social networks that's already been discovered with Mastodon. That even though it's decentralized, it's still operated by a single entity
Yep.
on a federated network. So unlike Nostr, when it's federated, um, the I guess host, and I guess it would be Blue Skies in this sense. If they don't like what you're tweeting, or I guess I'm not sure what the term is, skying,
Skying, yeah.
skying. They can just
Posting, I guess
shut
you
you
could say.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can shut down your account. So that's not fair.
No. No.
That's why I like Nostr, man.
Yep. So soon we'll be seeing the rollout. There, we'll just have to see how yet another social media network is coming out. There's actually an immense number of blockchain-based social media companies like there. Minds is one of them. Obviously, Mastodon another. But we're looking for something. I wouldn't say it's entirely like a DAO, but similar to a DAO in the sense that it's more user-owned and controlled. And you don't have to see what you don't want to see. If you want to host content that people don't necessarily want to see on a regular basis, host everything you want. It'll be up to you and your native nation as to whether or not they prosecute you for hosting that kind of content. So, anyways, what do you want to talk about, Snoop Dogg? Or you got something else on this?
Oh no, I guess just the last part down here that they're talking about Nostr and
Yep.
how China's already banned Nostr for the Damus app. So just to clarify, Damus is an app on the Apple Market Store.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
China can take that down.
Yep.
But they can't take down Nostr, and that's
Nope.
what the beauty of Nostr is.
Yep.
Is that people in China can still utilize the Nostr protocol.
Yeah, this is exactly the same thing with library. Library's main hosting space that was called Odyssey, which is fortunately not being taken down now, but in the sense of Odyssey itself could block content and could CDMA or DCMA. Is it? No, it's I can't remember what the name of it is. The law that the United States put in place to make people allow people to cancel content. The fact of the matter is, once it's on library, or in this case Nostr, if you download the blockchain, you have access to the content. Now, in China, that might have to go through the Great Firewall of China and thus a VPN. But the fact of the matter is, if it's on the internet, you can get to it. So, all right, moving on to Snoop Doggy Dogg. And this is a really quick little note here. Obviously, everybody knows who this man is, but
he's been all over Web3 and blockchain
yes,
and crypto.
yes,
Man,
he
this
is
guy
deep in.
Yeah, he's a straight expert when it comes
Yep.
to crypto.
As far as celebrity intrigue, he is. I think he's seeing it as a more of a freedom aspect. And obviously, I don't know what he's thinking about it, but to my opinion of his actions and being so heavily involved in Web3 it's a boon to the ability of people who want to get their content out there without having to go through some centralized entity. Anyways, despite that fact, in this case, he's joining a crypto casino. I believe it's a Australian-based company, and even it's not available in the U.S. I'm going to say that up front. It is a crypto casino game platform, so not going to be available in the U.S. Maybe in Vegas, but in general, this is not available in the U.S. Sorry to all U.S. residents. Anybody outside the U.S., I'm guessing obviously Australia and other nations. But in particular, let's see here. It's really just his announcement of joining this thing. There are other aspects to this article that talk about other things that he's involved in, but explicitly, it's just him getting into this new casino game platform that's Web3 based. So. That's a short little blurb there. Moving on to a different article about former MetaMask lead releases HyperPlay, a Web3 game launcher. So if anybody's ever played things like Blizzard's launcher, Blizzard has, 5 or 6 games, plus some other things that they've gotten into with Activision. And so you pretty much get all the games through this one little launcher. If you have Steam, you probably know the same kind of thing. There's thousands of games you can download through Steam and play through the Steam platform. This is what the this HyperPlay concept is going for, except it's all Web3 and anything that utilizes, I think, Wallet Connect or since it's going to be MetaMask based primarily, it's going to favor MetaMask over Wallet Connect, but anything that is associated with that. So one of our favorites, which you guys may have seen lately, is DeFi Kingdoms, and DeFi Kingdoms will be available on HyperPlay. Well, what's the advantage of HyperPlay? The whole purpose of a launcher, not just to get content, maybe your most favorite games are available here, or one of our favorite games being DeFi Kingdoms, but it's kind of a protection. So if you don't want to give your 12 key over to some random new game that just came out, maybe it's some really simple fly-by-night and you don't know what it is, you can put it into HyperPlay, and HyperPlay will interact with that game, so that you don't have to interact with it directly. And that will save you from being rug pulled by some random NFT game that's not legit. It's hard to know. I mean, to me, having never developed my own game, I can't imagine the amount of time it takes to build a game out. But as it says here, Undead Blocks, which we'll talk about later, DeFi Kingdom, Sandbox, Voxy Tactics, The Born List, to name a few. It's also available Mac, Windows, Steam, Linux, etc. So lots of different ways of getting into HyperPlay. It's just an interface. It's not a game itself, but it'll be kind of like a lobby to other games.
Security layer. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I like
security
that,
layer.
actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, protection to you and protection to your MetaMask wallet content, your NFTs and or cash that you're keeping in your MetaMask. So anything extra to block you from whatever dangers are out there on the web is good for me and good for you. So I'm interested in seeing where they take this, because it will probably be a great place to start as a platformer location, a game launcher for mass adoption, as they say. So, all right, let's see here. Something about normal political news. Australia announces a CBDC pilot and study for their E-odd. Kind of a funny thing. Sounds like you're a donkey. E-odd, E-odd. What is it they're doing here? So the Australia, they're talking about a whole bunch of different things that they're going to be doing with this. They had 14 different use cases lined up, but the ones that they named in particular were like facilitating offline payments, tokenized invoices for businesses, livestock auctions. I mean, if you can think of it, you can probably do it with the CBDC. But and John is vehemently against the concept of a CBDC as being used mainly for privacy concerns, and the fact that if you gave all your money to your government, they can just decide where you can use it and whether or not you can use it. They could tie your hands pretty easily, and that's really unfair. Right now, there is some level of being able to tie your hands, but the fact of the matter is, since cash is not all controlled by the government, if you got it in your pocket, you can do what you want with it. If the CBDC if it ever gets into the hands of a dictator, you're screwed. Which is ironic, because a dictator kind of did that with the Chiva wallet in El Salvador. But it doesn't seem like Bukele's ideology is to screw people. He's trying to get away from the U.S. fiat. So
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be that bad. I mean, what was it last week? We had an article about what was a country that was rioting and protesting. That was
I remember what you're talking about, or us talking about. Let me look it up real quick and see if we can pull it up.
it was
Nigeria. Yeah, so Nigeria started their
Nigeria.
Naira coin.
Naira.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Naira, yeah. But
So
Nigerians weren't having it because it
yeah,
was restricted too. So
well, yeah, it was restricted because they didn't have no infrastructure built out.
right,
So every country is going to be different in adopting and distributing this whole CBDC. But yeah, definitely CBDC is the way that countries are going around the world. It's going to be more affordable to create digital assets in comparison to physical paper. So
yes,
that's just going to be the norm.
yeah. I mean, the United States and Australia, most Western countries in general. I mean, I include all of Western Europe. it's very common still for us to not even see the fiat, currency that we use. Do the French still use the franc? Hardly. Do they even use the physical euro? Hardly. I mean, I'm certain that people still use it to some degree. But the fact of the matter is, if you've got a credit card or a debit card and it works in the country you're going to, what do you need cash for? Yes, that means that an institution definitely holds all your currency. And of course, as John and I always say, not your keys, not your crypto. Well, if you don't hold your coin, then you don't have control over it truly. And like happened, I'm not talking politics in particular, but I'm thinking in particular of what happened to the truckers in Toronto when they were doing their little blockade thing. What happened to them? Well, they were told to have their cards shut down, and so they had no access to their own money. It's their money. What did the government do? They blocked them. They blocked them from access to their own money, so they couldn't continue the protest. Now, that was, like I said, there was a political thing. I'm not talking about the politics of it. I'm just talking about the fact is that if you don't have true holding of your coin, you don't have control over it. So the thing that's advantageous about having your own wallet and being able to trade this coin universally across the planet is you have control of your money, and it's still digital. So the advantage here, this is the biggest advantage, not necessarily of CBDCs, but of crypto itself, is that you can control your own money, and no central institution, no government can tell you what to do with it. Now, they can encourage you through probably physical encouragement, that being with weapons and other such things. But they can't necessarily just cut you off and make it so you have no money. So,
Yeah, we read an article last week about Republican Tom Emmer introducing legislation last month, and it passed. It
yep.
was the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act, which is to halt unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. from stripping Americans of their rights to financial privacy.
Right.
And that's in regards to the whole CBDC part.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that if and when a CBDC in the United States goes through, that we still have some modicum of control over it. And the way that we were initially talking about it, it sounds like we would have no control over it. I mean, it's like the fact of the matter is the government is the people. I know it doesn't feel like it all the time, but who are they but other people of this country? So, all right, moving on. Let's see here. Ledger Stax hands-on review: a hardware wallet with iPod design flourishes. I don't care if it looks like an iPod, but I'm actually kind of into this. I personally really love the idea of e-ink or digital paper.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a while. You know, it's from what I recall, it was an Apple
Mm-hmm.
developer, Apple designer, I
Yep.
think it was,
Yep.
that created the iPod, the original iPod,
Yep.
and yeah, now they came out here over to the Web3 space, and now they came out with they developed the Stax. This unit here that you see on screen, that's what they came out with,
Yep. To the right.
and yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's from my understanding, it's kind of like an upgraded version of the Ledger Nano
Yep.
X.
Yep. That's exactly
Just
right.
looking more advanced, looking more cool. You know, so if you know anything about a ledger and how it works, there you go. Now you have
So
this.
yeah, you actually have more of a visualization. The problem with the previous one, even though it did have a screen on it, and well, it still does have a screen on it, is the screen was limited to what, 2 lines or 3 lines, and yes, you had a very very basic way of signing. This one will actually change the interface to something that you might see in Trust Wallet or in MetaMask, so you can actually see the transactions as they're
Yeah, it's
requested
kind
to
of
be
like
signed, and then you actually
it's
see
sort of like
the amount of coin that you're passing off, right? When you actually utilize this little e-ink based wallet, one of the other images, if you can scroll down, you can actually see the binding on the side of it. It looks kind of like a book, and you actually see what the name of your wallet is. Keep going. I don't remember. It's toward the bottom of the article. There's I think it's the 4th picture. That shows a little binding along the edge, and you can see your battery power and your and whether or
Oh,
not the
that
wallet is
was
locked.
this
And
one right here.
yeah, it's the one that's the picture of the guy holding it sideways. Yeah, um, that's kind of slick. Just the fact that it's got all this extra detailed information. I think it's kind of like a very, very simplified smartphone or tablet, but ultimately, just because it's ink, which means the power will last an exceptionally long time, much, much, much longer than it would ever last on a cell phone or a mobile phone. Um, so yeah, it's not cheap. It's almost $300 US. Um, they do obviously expect people to buy multiples of these. I guess it just depends on who you are and how much cash you have available. But I'm actually very much interested in getting one of these. I have an immense number of wallets. I'm not super into the Ledger wallet, but just in general, I hope that more people build things like this. Um,
If I'm not mistaken, I think the the Ledger Nano X is about $120.
okay,
That's w- basically more than half the price of
right. No, it's definitely
this
it's
unit
almost three
here.
times the price of
Yeah.
this thing will be three times that, but this is a lot more functional. I mean, it gives you a graphic user interface that's added multiple. You could probably even scroll, even though their visualization of it still has to connect to your phone in order to make transactions happen. But the fact of the matter is, you can keep it separately. That's the whole point of the original Nano X. Was it's got a what's called air gap between the internet and itself. So if you turn off their Bluetooth or if you disconnect the Bluetooth connection to it, it is completely inaccessible to anyone. And if you're really, and you should to some degree be like, let's say you had, I'm going to throw a randomly large number out there, 15,000 Bitcoin you wanted to keep safe. This would be a very good way of doing that. 15,000 Bitcoin is a good chunk of change, so it would be useful. Yeah,
So
there's a
make sure
visualization they
though,
have of the NFT
make sure
viewer.
if anybody decides to get any of these ledgers, any of these air gap devices, to back up your private keys,
Yeah.
because if this unit is, it is an electronic device,
Mm-hmm.
the possibility it might fry, it might get damaged.
Right.
Back up those private keys.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can always use the private keys. In fact, we talked about it. Who was it? The woman was saying that if you really wanted to quote smuggle, and she wasn't talking about smuggling per se, but if you really wanted to move coin, just memorize your 12 key, you know, password, and then as long as you can remember that, you can get your coin anywhere in the world without having to connect to anything. You can just momentarily connect using that 12 key password, and boom, you've got access to your coins. So this is a neat little tool. I will probably end up buying one of these at some point. I would love it if it was available for Atomic Wallet, but I'm okay with this in general, just because I'm fascinated by it. So finally, another ex-employee from another ex-company, ex-Goldman Sachs analyst released Kill to Earn zombie game on Undead Blocks. This will also be available on HyperPlay on Immutable X. So I thought this was fascinating. I'm not personally in zombie games, but I'm cool with first-person shooters like Counter Strike or Team Fortress. I don't play I don't play Fortnite, but I realize that this is one of those types of games. Um, and their whole thing is typically it's a play to earn. Now they've rebranded that as kill to earn. I find it fascinating because it's like, well, how do you guys make money? Like how do you actually make money on this kill to earn kind of game? And their statement was, well, the sale of games or the sale of basically, you know, people getting into the game is kind of like a way of returning money to the game. Like you can play, I'm gonna think of it, World of Warcraft for free. If you play the game and just farm enough, you can get enough gold in the game in order to buy tokens to make the game free. And I know plenty of people who do that. So I think it's the same sort of thing here. You want to play the game, kill enough zombies, and you'll play for free. Or maybe you'll play for more than free. You might actually be able to make some tiny amount of money. Uh, Personally, it.
Maybe,
Go ahead.
maybe there's injected ads.
Maybe, but they didn't really say that. It's further down in the article. They make mention that they say that the sale of NFTs may support it. So players can only earn. Players can earn Z bucks, zombie bucks, the game's token, and redeem it for Ethereum or Immutable X token. Players can only earn tokens if the game itself is making money, which it will primarily be through the sale of in-game assets like guns and loot coffins as NFTs. So people buy the gear, and that money goes distributed back to the people who are playing and killing in the game. I'm totally cool with this concept. The real end game is, are you having fun? And if you're having fun, to me, I don't remember who it was. Somebody said this a while back. Do you really want to play to earn? It sounds like a great idea because you're like, oh, I can make money playing a game. It's like, well, but aren't you having fun already? Do you really want to make it work? Some people make it work. Think about all those people who are actively, Gamer X people. Those people who are literally going to work to play the game to win money. I'm guessing I could do that.
That's exactly the biggest backlash from the gaming community, the actual real gaming community, not the crypto gaming community,
right?
Not the NFTers, the actual real gaming community. That's why they're anti NFTs, minting their items and hardware on NFTs. They don't want it, and
Right.
that's why there's been a slow progression towards making NFT games.
Yeah, well, not everybody's into it. No, like I said, I do pay to play the game that I've been playing for nearly 20 years. It's weird to admit that out loud, but
Tetris.
yeah, Tetris, right? World of Warcraft. Anyways, I've been playing it a long time, and I've obviously paid an immense amount of money to play this game, but it's fun for me. It's something I enjoy, and I've played many other MMO RPG games over the years. And as I said, I've played Team Fortress and Counter-Strike, and every now and then you just like, rounding up a bunch of zombies and blowing their heads off because it's a little bit of a release. But personally, I don't like playing games just for the money. If it's relaxing, great. And that's the reason I like, as I said before, playing Upland. Upland is very relaxing. It's very simple. Maybe killing zombies and loading up on your favorite gun and just wasting things like in Quake or Doom is really relaxing. And what was it? Unreal. I used to play Unreal Tournament in the early days. That game was really dang fun in the very first games because I used to play a sniper, and it was really fun to just snipe somebody from halfway across a map, and they have no idea who shot and killed them. So.
Yeah. CS:GO, right?
Yeah.
CS:GO being was a first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, first-person shooter.
Yep.
ZBD Wallet. They have integration into CS:GO,
Mm-hmm.
and if you go through their website, you can earn sats playing CS:GO in tournaments. They do
Yep.
have tournaments as well, just like that, just like what's going on here. But instead of having their what was it called, there's Z, what is it, there's zombie token.
Mm-hmm. Z-Bucks.
Yeah, there's Z-Bucks. Instead of having Z-Bucks, you're earning satoshis.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So there's a lot of there's some games out there. I do like the idea, instead of just developing your entire game yourself, you just pay for an API of a AAA game, and you just integrate satoshis into it.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, you could definitely almost any game. I want to make one little rant call on this just quickly. Some people are like, why include monetization of games that don't need monetization? Okay. Just hear me out if you can, if you dare. There's this one game that's been played for longer than video games have even existed. It's called poker. And I realize poker itself is a different sort of game altogether than maybe just killing zombies or Fortnite or CSGO. But the fact of the matter is there is a competition component to CSGO or TF2 or Counter-Strike in general or any other FPS game. It's all about competition. It might be shooting your opponent instead of besting them with, a little sleight of hand. But poker is the same kind of game. It's just a different kind of psych game. It's more of a quiet game than a loud game like a shooting game. But there is still a level of sleight of hand when it comes to shoot. You got to know the map really well. You got to have the right kind of guns. You got to have the armor. And if you know the right place, you can snipe somebody and they never even saw it coming. And that's how you win. Same thing in Fortnite. just have the skill. It might be fast clicking skill, but the fact of the matter is still skill. So to me, the idea of actually putting money on this, like with poker, poker's a totally different game if you play with real money versus chips. And I'm not even talking about chips that are worth money, but I'm just saying chips alone. You're like, well, here's a $50 chip that you're not actually putting $50 on. People, the game is entirely different when, as they say, pink slips are on the line, or they say racing for slips. You perform very, very differently. So, to me, there should be, as there is almost every game. I was thinking in particular again of World of Warcraft. There's PvE players and there's PvP players. Some people love PvP, that is fighting people directly. Some people hate it. And I think that we should have two versions of these games. The game where you're just playing for the fun of it, and the game where you're playing for money. And that way you can have both exist simultaneously. And I think that's where my rant ends, is we can make this work for people who want to play for money and people who don't. Because you can play poker for money and you can play poker for chips. And it can be just as fun either way.
You know what? You know what I saw? It was freaking cool, man. I don't know why I didn't think about this idea. Play Monopoly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You played Monopoly before, right?
Yeah, many times. I love the game.
And everybody has a lightning wallet. And you play with sats.
Right.
That is freaking cool, man.
Yeah, it would actually be kind of interesting to play Monopoly for real sats instead of for funny money, as they say, Monopoly money.
Yeah, it was really cool. That's a good idea, man. That's an awesome way to get the family involved in crypto, get them integrated with crypto. Just play with sats.
It would be interesting to see a really high stakes Monopoly game where people are playing with Bitcoin instead of with Satoshis.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely watch that, man.
I would watch that too. It would actually be pretty fascinating to see. Like let's get Mark Cuban in and have him play Monopoly with real Bitcoin. Let's see how he plays. I mean, he's probably not going to want to do it just because he's like, that's not how I play, But it would be interesting to see people play at a higher level. And I'm sure someone's already done it, but it would be interesting to include crypto in it. So anyways, that's our show for Wednesday, March 1st, episode 492. Thank you all for watching. Please check out our Cointree. We have all our links to our donations. Please check out our Patreon and our Discord if you have the chance. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe if you really like our content. As we say, at the end.
Cold.
Go ahead.
It is cold out here, so if you
it's been chilly.
Coffee,
yes, please buy us a coffee. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. As we say at the end of every single show, Stax sats and hodl.
Hodl.
Adios.
Adios.